It's time for Declare Your Independence with Ernest Hancock.
Believe me when I say we have a difficult time ahead of us. But if we are to be prepared for it, we must first shed our fear of it. I stand here without fear because I remember that I am here not because of the path that lies before me, but because of the path that lies behind me. I remember that for 100 years we have fought these machines. And after a century of war, I remember that which matters most. We are still here! Tonight, let us make them remember we are not afraid!
Yeah! We're going to do a little special show, special. We have some inside information on the inside of the inside, and something we want to share with you, what's going on with the Republican Party here in Arizona. And it's always Arizona. There's a whole lot of reasons why. We may get into some of it, but there are machines, old machines that go back way back. We got like Goldwater from the 60s. We have John McCain, in that machine. We got, those that are here, been running the really big shoe for a long time, and you go high enough up on the left or right side of the pyramid, and you get to the all-seeing, we're in charge. Well, we have some contacts. We're heavily involved in politics for decades, and got some inside scoop on some stuff, and there's some stuff breaking in the Republican Party here in Arizona that will have national, which means international ramifications we want to share with you. And our good friend, Mr. J. Well, Mr. J is going to explain it to us. So, Jay, however you want to introduce yourself, you're all clandestine on everything. So I just want to know what you can share with the people of how you know, and then tell us what you know.
I've been involved for a long time at all kinds of levels. I don't even want to say. But I was hoping to do a little tiny mini Trump report, if that's okay, too.
I'm sorry, you did what, too?
Do a little Trump report.
Yeah, okay. Can
you hear me all right? All right.
Yeah, I got you. It's the Republican Party kind of stuff. It might involve Trump. This is the one thing that I, start off with that I want to know. You got MAGA, which kind of evolved around Trump, and then you got Trump, and whatever the heck it is he wants to do. Then you have the America First crowd that's not necessarily MAGA. You got Marjorie Taylor Greene resigned last week, and it was not even artificial intelligence wouldn't say it. I'm like, what are you, stupid? Or are you just a lying biatch? What how does this work? Well, the thing is that you got Thomas Massie, you have Tulsi Gabbard, that's been anti-war and all this stuff, Venezuela and Iran. They decide, she doesn't get to watch the raid. She doesn't get to come inside and see on the big screen of what's up because we don't. She's not one of us. And you have all the criminals and prosecutions that should be happening that's not. You got Rand Paul is working with Robert Kennedy to see if we can get us some Fauci, and that's not happening. There's, and then I get Hegseth going to SpaceX and talking about biologics. Yeah, we're gonna kick ass on every front of everything, and we got a new, technical officer that's going to be in charge of procurement and money. We're going to make it flow and have anybody like Anduril, which is Lucky Palmer, I think is who his name is. He was the guy that sold the headset to Facebook for a couple of $1 zillion, and then he starts his own military contractor business, and he's getting a lot of penetration. Then it's all drones and AI and yada 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 yada. I'm feeling a definite shift in something. There is a world now. You even got little bitty old Denmark and some German troops. NATO, they're going to Greenland, going, you can't come, you can't. He goes, well, I'm going to do what I want to do. You guys going to stop me? Or are you guys going to start taking it serious that Greenland's going to be a buffer to Europe and Russia or something? I mean, if so much stuff is happening and it's fracturing the support that Donald has, and not that he cares because, he's gone, but then you got Palantir and their buddy J.D. Vance, and he's all Israeled up. I'm not feeling like it's getting better, man. How is it manifesting here in Arizona?
You're onto a lot of things.
Yeah.
So,
and silver, it went down $1.77 today. It's down to 91 something. So I mean, oh man, if that doesn't tell a story.
So you've got Trump, you've got the Trump people, you've got the real America First MAGA, you've got kind of the MAGA consulting class, and that's exactly what I wanted to talk about today. I wanted to talk about the Republican Party and the Republican Party. So the Republican Party is made up of people like precinct committeemen, state committeemen, county delegates, state delegates, depends what sometimes they're called, precinct committeemen officers. It depends what state you're on, what they call them. So that's like the who constitutes the formal party. And for example, in Arizona, it's split about 50-50. It's split about 50% MAGA America First people and then 50% establishment people, although it's getting mixed up now, but a little more. But that's roughly what it is. And then there's the Republican Party. And what I mean by that is the consulting class, the political consultants. So the game is the political consultants manipulate the membership into believing something or another. And this is what I wanted to talk about today. The Republican Party, made up of the membership, is much more Trump than not, right? It's like 60-40, maybe a little more, roughly. Can you still hear me okay?
Yeah, I got you. Go.
Okay. Then the consulting class, they're already done with Trump. Trump's done. They've moved on. The consulting class is looking at the midterm elections saying it's not going to get pulled out. So they're going to, mire Trump down in 2 years of nonsense, just like the end of his last term. And so he's done. So they've already moved on. They're done with him and have moved on, the consulting class. So the consulting class now is just trying to manipulate the membership into whatever next candidates they want them to support, because it's all about the consulting class. Hang on.
Define consulting class.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Define consulting class.
Yeah. Can you hear me now?
Yes. Define consulting class.
Got it. There we go. The consulting class are the political people who make money off of campaigns, right? They make money off campaigns, or they make money off of the party. And so that's their profession. So they're looking for contracts, just like I don't want to say just like any businessman, but it's the same concept as in business, where to make money, you have to get your next gig, right? You have to make your next sale. So the consulting class, they live or leech or grift off of the party and off of the candidates. And so they're always looking for their next contract, their next deal, or they're looking to become bigger and more prominent so people come to them. And so what's happening right now is you were right on the mark. Everything you're seeing, it's all about J.D. Vance. So, for example, if you live in Phoenix or you live in Arizona, AmFest from TPUSA was just this past December, and they put on a nice show, right? It's a nice event, but that was the kickoff of the J.D. Vance for President campaign. And if you were there, you'd see it, you'd know it, you could watch the videos. That was the kickoff of the J.D. Vance campaign. They can't say that because it's a 501c3, but please, he was the headliner. right? All the political consultants were
Oh,
there.
Erica Kirk wanted to French him on stage, man. I was like, damn.
Well, that was the the memorial event, but I'm talking about AmFest this past December. And so
Yeah.
that's the thing. There's the Republic, there's the party, and there's the party. The party made up of the membership, and then the party made up of the consultants who don't really care. In fact, they'll even say, I make more money when the party is in opposition. So they want to win. They don't care if they win. All they care about is, probably 100 million, 150 million in JD contracts are going to, and, party contracts, maybe 200 million is going to hit Arizona over the next 4 years. Republican money, and they want to slice that. 10% slice of that is $20 million.
Yeah.
So they want to slice that. So they're all getting on the JD train. And, Susie Wiles is Trump's chief of staff. She was a DeSantis guy. Wasn't really America first, but she knows how the game is played, so he hired her. And then her assistant chief of staff is also, he was DeSantis's number one guy in Florida, and they're political consultants. They're done with him. I don't think Trump even realizes it yet. Like, his own staff is done with him. We're not done with him. We love him, but the party, the membership loves him, but the party, the consultants, they've already moved on, and I don't think he realizes it yet.
Well, that means what? They're abandoning the midterms? What are you talking about?
No, so it's all about the billionaire tech bros, man. You'd already talked about it. The billionaire tech bros are all behind Vance. So that's where the consulting class sees the money, and they see the midterms not going well. So they've already jettisoned Trump and move on. He's done. I don't think he's done. I want him to I want him to do everything that he has before him and that he planned to do. But the consulting class, with the money or seeking the money, they've already moved on. And so now it's about JD Vance and the money that the tech bros are going to bring so they can get their slices of the contract. And so what's happening in Arizona, what's happening in other states is the membership is being manipulated by this consulting class into whatever the next thing that they want to do is so they can get their money. And they don't really care if they win or not. And that's sad because Trump's thing is all about winning.
What is the main issue that determines everything? Is it war? Big tech getting all the data? Is it
now you're talking about now you're talking about who donates the money. So now you're asking me about why are the tech bros donating so much money to get behind Vance? That's a different question. Valid question, that's a different question. So that's why is the money flowing in behind Vance? Why do the tech bros want to support Vance? That's a very good question.
Well, what role is Israel really that big a deal, or are they front for something else? I'm not thinking. Israel it gets all the headlines, and you gotta, but it seems like there's something else behind that.
I mean, it's globalism. So, Netanyahu, who's a U.S. citizen, by the way, grew up here, went to college here, U.S. citizen. He's just another globalist puppet like Biden was, or like or Macron or Trudeau. So you can't really assess Israel itself, just like you can't assess America by Washington, D.C. You can't assess Israel by whoever their clown is in control right now, particularly the current one.
Well, Trump keeps pushing for him to get a pardon. How's that going? What's up with that?
I am no expert on Israel, so I don't even want to speculate. All I know is that there's money. It's all about the money. There's money going on. Israel has a lot of tech. Israel has a lot of, tech around the world, not just in Israel. So that's, I'm sure, is part of it. But why is the money coming in behind Vance? It's the tech bros and the billionaire tech bros and the tech bros. What do you do when you invest money? It's because you want to make more, right? So they imagine
the tech
under
bros
Vance
want
they're going to
what?
make more.
They want the government. They want us to build them nuke plants or something. I mean, what is it they want?
I don't. Yeah, so that's different than what I was here to talk about. So I mean, we can speculate. I'm happy to. We have very
Go
interesting
ahead and
conversations.
share what you wanted to make sure we got. Go ahead.
No, that's really it. I mean, like I said, in Arizona and other states, right now it's a reshuffle. The sands are all shifting, and it's all about what's next. And what's next is whatever the Republican consultants, whoever they think is going to bring in the most money. And so right now, the Republican consultants nationwide are manipulating the party membership. And by that, I mean like the precinct committeemen and delegates and everything, state committeemen, into supporting whatever officers and party structures are needed to maximize the Republican consulting class's revenue.
Okay, let me go ahead and, give a little bit of history here so people kind of understand what we're talking about. During the 2008 revolution, after that happened, everybody got all full of themselves, and we need to go in and we're going to take over the Republican Party. We're going to do some whip ass. And from behind the scenes, it was Jay that let us know that before a long time ago, that there was a split, and they could see that the Ron Paul revolutionaries, here they come. So what they did is they had a little secret meeting between Christmas and New Year's, and they came up with a parallel Republican Party where they sent all the assets to be run by the executive whatever that was made up by congressmen and senators and the chair and this and that, and we run everything. So when the revolutionaries get in there, they don't get access to nothing. We're not going to let the people have it. So they came in, and there was a big increase, and to the point that you had a majority of, freedom's the answer, what's the question, people, and they go, oh, hell no. We're not going down that. And there was a lot of, threats and law enforcement and, First Amendment violation, you're not allowed and you have tos and all this kind of stuff. And you could see it. And I encouraged it because I'm going, look, you got to see it from the inside. You have no idea. You're still voting. I mean, go ahead, get learnified. And they did. Well, since then, here comes Trump. Trump comes in, and we got to win, and he beat Hillary, yay! So MAGA started to really take off, and during his first administration, there was a lot of blocks and indictments and news and blah 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 blah. Then he comes back. He gets back in, and he starts, bull in the china shop kind of thing. A lot of stuff I'm not in agreement with, and he's all about, reading the art of the deal when you got, Xi and China reading the art of war. And I'm wondering where the dominoes are falling. It's going to be his agenda, or it's just to have a job. Where's the money coming from? You're saying big tech wants what they want, so that's where the money
what I'm
is.
saying.
That's where they're going.
You really got to appreciate what I'm saying here. They're the consulting class, that part of the party, which is, they have a lot of power. They are done with him. It's over as far as they're concerned. The Trump administration is done as far as
they're concerned. So they don't
care
about the midterms?
No, they see the midterms as being lost and Trump being mired down for 2 years.
Why?
So they don't care.
Why is that? Who's pushing that narrative?
It's the numbers. It's not a narrative. It's the numbers.
Nothing matters until 3 months before the election anyway.
Well, that's true. And that might be why we're seeing Trump doing some of the stuff he's doing right now. I don't know, but that's a good point, right? But I can tell you from the way the consulting class is behaving right now, they think he's done. So they've moved on. And so what's happening in the party is they're manipulating the party membership into their next big thing, whatever that is. And
how do they manipulate them? you got precinct committeemen that make up,
by
you got
electing
legislative
by
districts.
elect by electing officers who wield a lot of in the party at various levels, county, state, national, who wield a lot of power to direct the direction of, the county, state, or national party. So that's what's happening, is those officers are now getting elected. They come in saying they're MAGA, right? But really they're just the consultants' puppets. So the consultants can steer the party to the next big thing.
Which is JD's race.
Well, at least in Arizona, right? In this area, it's JD Vance, and that was evident at AmFest. It was the kickoff of the JD Vance presidential campaign. And every consultant around was there, shaking hands, looking for, maneuvering into getting their next contract. And like I said, a lot of money is going to come into Arizona, and they want a part of it.
What do they offer? They go, I'm a consultant that can consult, and you get consulted in the office because I what? What do they got?
Well, because, I'm going to help you win. But again, right, they make their money either way, win or not.
Okay, let me go ahead and explain this, and you fill in blanks here. For decades, I've been active since the late 80s, and you could see that there is a machine in a machine of the machine. We had, the Arizona Project, which was a opening of a lot of the corruption. We had ASCAM. There's a lot of, people doing murders, blowing up Arizona Republic newspaper reporters. And, a lot of stuff happened in the 70s, 80s, going into the 90s. Then Derry Matera wrote a book, What's in It for Me? And it was, highlighting some corruption, a sting that the county attorney did with a gangster that was paying off legislators while they're being taped and all this kind of stuff, and it was a mess, early 90s. Well, what happened is you could see when John McCain married Cindy McCain, or whatever her name was before, her father owned a big giant liquor distributor like Budweiser or something like that, and they had plenty of money. Well, when they got money, and I've been around these guys, I get it. They got the money, and they call it the Phoenix 40, or it's a Greater Phoenix Economic Development, blah, blah, blah. And they buy a bunch of land downtown, and then they gentrify it. And they get, they make money, and left, right, Democrats, mayors, Republicans, they all join forces and build the machine of political control. It doesn't matter it's Republican or Democrat, that became obvious, pretty short order. But when McCain died, that machine was still there. And they wanted to make sure, does it incorporate a lot of those people, or have they died off? Are they replaced with somebody? What is the turnover? How are we getting the new crop of re-rule?
Good question. So the McCain machine is still there. It's just frittered away. So it's maybe 20%, 25% of its previous strength. But what's come up behind it is the MAGA hanger honors, the MAGA consulting class. It's What do they say? Like MAGA, something on the surface and a soft inside, right? That's all it is they just put on a MAGA shirt and a MAGA badge, and now I'm a MAGA consultant, right? I'm a America First consultant, but it's still the same stuff. It's the same game, same nonsense.
Is it national, or are they looking at the state? I mean, we got, Andy Biggs running for governor, and, you got Hobbs being outed for whatever the hell she is. I mean, it's to think that Arizona is a blue state or purple state, that's all bullshit. And I knew this for decades.
It's a red state, yeah. It's red.
I'm going, no, this is corruption. Maricopa County is the worst. And then it turns out, oh, golly gee shuckins, Ernie was right. Yeah. I'm like, holy crap, it's so corrupt. But I always say it's always Arizona. And the reason is because for a lot of things, that's why Napolitano comes here, Assistant Attorney General under Reno and Clinton, and then she becomes Attorney General and then Governor. How the hell did that happen? Then you get a bunch of Democratic, both senators are Democrat, bunch of congressmen, and the people are not. I don't believe the results. I know. I have done discovery. I've done lawsuits. I've argued oral argument before the Ninth Circuit. I get da, just to make them say it. Say it! But the end result is that you get a lot of corruption in there. And then you got the CIA link. You got, Michael Crow, the most expensive, paid the most of any university head, and it's all
in the world.
In
the world.
And then you get the CIA involved. You get Sheriff Arpaio comes from the DEA. It has been a mess. But then you get the media. They'll be in opposition or not really. Kind of, it's just like this Epstein thing or Fauci thing. They get all kinds of press, and then nobody is ever held accountable. So it keeps on happening. Are we going to have a better, more pure election this time? Are the Republicans incumbents, doing that? Or is Hobbs vetoing everything? Are they going to what's happening there?
They're topically unified against Hobbs, and they're topically unified around election integrity. But again, the county fell to the consulting class just this past weekend, and the state is at risk of falling to the consulting class next weekend. So, that's where it's at. This is happening in real time, where the power has shifted or is shifting from the actual membership to the consulting class, to those who get paid to do politics, as opposed to people
when has that
who
ever
are
not
engaged.
happened?
What's that?
When has that ever not happened?
Well, it's interesting because, to your point, like back when the Ron Paul evolution was going on, right? It was a big wave of people who wanted to be civically engaged. And they were just regular people who came out and got really excited, got civically engaged, and and they captured, probably in this state, and it depends on which state, some were more, some were less, but in this state they captured, I would say, 40% or more of the party positions. And then America First, when Trump came along, I'd say it's probably 50 to 55% of the party positions, and a lot of the offices, which the Ron Paul folks didn't have enough concentration to get but a couple offices. But the MAGA people, America First people, got a lot of the offices. And then here come the consultants, and they're not experienced, and they just fall for the whole schmooze line, consulting line, we're going to move you up line type of thing. And then they just compromise, and that's how the movement dies. And so it's happening in real time. Nominally, it's strong. Nominally, it's still there. But the membership
rules.
itself is falling.
They change the rules all the time, Jay. This is one thing that you were really good at, is how to run a convention, how to have an influence on the convention. The first time you were part of the using social media to communicate live on the floor, to be able to have a voice and make sure people understood, they weren't tricked. And vote for this slate. It's got a big MAGA printout list of this is how you vote, and because we say, and okay, we'll do that, and then the truth comes out. But it doesn't matter if it's after the election. So the way the laws are in Arizona, by the end of January, by the third weekend or the last weekend or into January, they have to have the state convention, and before that they do the counties. So what you're saying is they had the county, and you can see what's going to happen to the state.
Well, the state has a little bit different composition because of all the rural counties and everything. But and the county, and you got to understand, like, the enormity of Maricopa County, especially in the Republican Party. It's the second largest Republican county in America. It's huge. The county party in Maricopa County is bigger than the whole state party, just because how big the county is relative to any other county in the state. It's enormous. It's almost 3 times the size of the state party. And the county party fell to the consulting class this weekend. So the fight is on. That's the fight that for the state convention in 2 weeks or a week and a half, whatever, not this Saturday, but next, is will the state fall to the consulting class or will it not? And then not just you have the party membership and the consulting class, then you have various, local power brokers with big egos who want to run for various things. And then they screw up the calculus and then it gets thrown over to the consulting class. And so that's kind of what's going on right now.
Maricopa County population is almost 5 million, and the entire state is 7.5 million. So Maricopa County is what dominates everything, and then you have more of a left-leaning Pima County, which is Tucson. But it is so goes Maricopa, so goes the state generally, and that's why to control a state they control that one county. That's how it's done, and the media, how are they? Are they even? Is it alt media now everywhere, or does the traditional media have any weight?
Well, remember, who does the consulting class buy time from? From the media. So the media is always for the consulting class, 100% of the time. It doesn't matter what part. They're always for the consulting class. They're, anyone else is a quote unquote kook. So they always support whoever the officers are that align with the consulting class.
How did you distill it down into the consulting class? What are you talking? The job people, the money people, the contract people, and
yep.
Is that what you mean? I mean, they're just
campaign consultants, various political consultants. I could see. I've been at it a long time, as you know. I can see it now. Like after having gone through this, the McCain cycle, Ron Paul cycle, and now the MAGA cycle, I can see it plain, in front of my face, plain as day.
Wow. Still voting?
Well, I'd like to get rid of electronic stuff, all the electronic stuff, but yeah, I am.
Well, why is it so hard? It's so obvious.
It's so
why. Transparent. Because they don't want it. Those do what they want to do because they can until they can't. What is the can't? How are they stopped?
It's only through exposure. I mean, it has to be mass exposure. So, there's a theory that because Smartmatic started in Venezuela, and the very first time it was used was the Chavez election in 2006 that got Chavez into office, and then how did it go from Venezuela to the whole Western world when Chavez was a caudillo? Well, was Venezuela really, quote unquote, against the United States, or I should say against the U.S. deep state? Or was it the U.S. deep state's playground, just like North Korea is China's playground? And so is it possible that the U.S. deep state was controlling Venezuela and had Chavez and Maduro as cover to do things like use Smartmatic and then sell it to the entire Western world, which is now completely controlled by Davos proxies who were elected on those very exact same systems or copies of the code? Come on. Right?
Well,
it went from 2006 in Venezuela to Maricopa County in 2016, 10 years to completely dominate Arizona and the rest of the nation, for that matter, using the stupid machines that are so obviously compromised and fake. It's everyone. If you don't believe it at this point, you're an idiot. I'm sorry.
Well, this is the advocacy of Patrick Byrne. We've had him on before he went all postal on Alex Jones and the others and so on, and he's been a good friend and comes on the show, and he was making this very point. He's going, Venezuela is going to get theirs, and I didn't think they were going to invade or go get Maduro or do what they did, but he was really pushing it because of the election fraud. He's like, this has got to stop. And
well, that's the thing. The invasion. I don't know if you noticed, but the court case against Smartmatic, and when I say against them, they had an injunction to stop the case, but it was lifted so the case could proceed against Smartmatic one day. I believe it was one day before the invasion. And so who knows? Like maybe Trump thought, hey, this is the chance to get them and stop the deep state at the same time. And so they went in I don't know.
All
That's-
right.
there's
You
a
still a
theory
Trump
there.
fan? Are you Trump?
Me? Oh, yes, I am.
Because
The man is a genius. He is an absolute. First of all, he's a genius. And second of all, I know New Yorkers of that age. You got to picture New Yorkers of his age, his exact age. So my dad is one, right? They were the little children on mama's hands when all those ticker tape parades were happening in the mid late 1940s. Those people of that particular era, it's like a 5-year period from 1945 to 1950 when they were 5 to 10 years old. And that age, they are patriots like you can't believe. It's in their blood. It's in their veins. They can't rid themselves of it. So he's one of them. He's the exact age of my dad, and he was one of those kids, on their mama's hands during the ticker tape parade, 1945 to 1950. It was a very, very small period of time, a particular demographic of Americans of that age who, they might have been John F. Kennedy Democrats in the 60s, and now they're Trump Republicans.
Well, you also had, the Vietnam War kind of put a wet blanket on a lot of stuff, but then you had the space race, astronauts, ticker tape parades. That went into the late, 60s. After that, during the 70s, it kind of waned. But then
I'm talking about
Reagan.
I'm talking about the World War II homecomings,
No, I
right?
understand.
All that stuff.
So it didn't just stop. They continued to get that nostalgia, make America great again.
Yes.
And
that's Trump. That's exactly Trump's age. That's exactly my dad's age in New York City, right? They can't help themselves. It's like inside of them. I don't know how else to describe it. It's not theoretical to them. It's who they are.
I just saw a story that Mondani, I think they already got 800,000 petitions signed by people for something. I don't know if they want to do a recall or they're going to, people aren't digging it. I wonder if there's any election corruption there. But I've seen things I never thought I'd see this early, certainly not until like the mid-30s or something, that breaking up states and the different realignment of state borders of going to whatever, secession or Texas going out. And, we used to scream about the Western Libertarian Alliance, which would be Western Canada, Rocky Mountain states, Northern Mexico, kind of, a philosophical thing. And is that talked about at all? Or people, no, we're going to keep it together?
It's not talked about, but Ernie, I don't think it's what you're thinking it is. Like, that's the Zbigniew Brzezinski great game plan, right? It's what was that guy back in the George W. Bush administration? He said we're just going to do things, and by the time you're done analyzing it and arguing over it, we've already completed the next thing. Like, things are going to speed up and happen so fast, you're not going to be able to keep up with it. I forget, it was one of the Justice Department guys or something. Maybe Dick Cheney said, I don't remember. But they said that's going to happen, and that's what you're seeing happening. It's a globalist thing. It's not I don't think it's an independence movement thing. No.
They have I just did a show this morning, and it's a book by Patrick Wood, Technocracy.news, and Courtney Turner. It was called the Great Betrayal. This is, whatever's coming. And they wanted to distill it down into what you're talking about. They're saying, look, you need to understand what the goal is, how they're doing it, and we understood it as a county thing. We can see from the mid-'90s when they were trying to do this regional government and have a layer of legislation at the county level, and they, and then during COVID and the lockdown, it was a shiny badge and a clipboard from the county that was coming and shutting down everything and enforcing stuff. And then because you're doing it at the county level, you got sheriffs, a lot of them around the country go, no, highest ranking law enforcement in that jurisdiction, and I got voted in. So guess what? I'm going to do what the voters say. That's what my promise to begin with, and I'd like to keep doing it. So you have this opposition. There's always dissent. There's always somebody doing something they don't like it. Well, In the United Kingdom, they just arrest you. They just show up and it's starting to come to America. So it's the foundational, fundamental expectation of the proper rule of government defending of individual rights has to be resurrected. We got a project, Beware the Ides of March, that James Corbett and I and Ken Schoolin from Liberty International, we're going to resurrect the philosophy of liberty in all it's translated into 50 languages. So we're going to IPFS it, make it an activist thing, be real dicks about it. It's going to be sign everywhere, sign. We're going to a lot of printed material there just to understand the foundational concept of the philosophy of liberty is you own yourself. And the purpose of government is to, emphasize that. So I see it as a general public opinion thing. And it might be worth printing up some stuff to go to the state convention, the Republicans. We always did that before.
It's up in Prescott this time.
I thought the law was it had to be in the Phoenix area.
No, they just never do it in the rurals, but it's in Prescott this time.
No, that used to be the law. I remember it. They freaked out when we did it in Tucson, saying we violated whatever, and we don't care. We're a private thing, and it went to the Ninth Circuit. But this is Prescott. Why do you think Prescott?
Well, the current chair made a promise when she got elected last time, whenever that was, that she was going to hold one of the state meetings in the rural counties, and Prescott's pretty close. It's only 90 minutes, whatever. So I think that's why.
One thing is Yavapai County, and Yavapai County was known for a lot of little cronyism, corruption there too. So that doesn't surprise me. I mean, hell, everywhere is. God, what's the difference? But I don't see anybody rise. Of course, I don't watch commercial television or read the paper. Well, I don't care. But is there some good races coming up for Senate, governor, different statewide races?
Let's wrap the party discussion, then let's go on to that if that's all right. So you'll find this interesting, I think. So the McCain machine was political consultants. I mean, it was all the money, right? The money machine in politics in the state. And so with the shift now, if they perfect their transition at the state convention, not this Saturday, but next, we've got McCain 2.0. So the advent of McCain 2.0 is here. And you know how long that cycle can be. It could be 10 years or more before something comes along to break that, power. And the way they consolidate power is within the party, is they subject the party membership, no joke. They subject the party membership to struggle sessions, communist struggle sessions. Are you for unity? Are you for unity in the party? So we can win elections, but what they mean by unity is, are you going to do it our way, or are you going to force us to burn everything, burn the whole house down for everybody? Because that's what they mean. It's a zero-sum game, this whole struggle session unity business and politics. It's a very deep state way of doing things, just like the deep state does stuff. You get silver or lead, plata o ploma, right? Mm-hmm. You can have the silver, you can have the lead, you can have the reward, or we burn everything down. And that's what they mean. And so that McCain 2.0 is just about here in Arizona, with the consulting class taking back over the party, and another 10 years or more of that kind of party politics. So now, what does that mean for elections? It means boring, uninspiring candidates where the only argument is over the 2.5% of people in the middle who are independent, and can you shift them to the left or the right? So that's, you want to know, like, what's going to happen in elections? Is there anything exciting? That's it. It's who can shift that 3% in the middle to the left or the right. So it's about as exciting as that. So the excitedness of a grassroots-led, America First, Trump movement is on its last leg. If it's not already keeled over, and people just don't realize it. Yeah, might still be breathing, but if the consulting class wins, which it looks like, throughout the nation, it's picking up wins, it's pretty much over.
I was at a, December 15th, they always have Bill of Rights Celebration Day, the Free Supper Club and those guys. And, Tom Jenny, he's definitely one of these, consultant people. And it was interesting. I was sat next to a older gentleman. He had to be in his 80s, but he's heavily involved, and it was all about, what you're talking about. It was to win. It was win.
Hey, I'm all for winning. Like, don't get me wrong here. Do I want Democrats to win? Of course I don't. I'm a Republican. Like, no matter what you tell me to do, Ernie, I'm going to always be a Republican. But I'm all for winning. But I just also lived through this long enough to know, like, it's totally, the candidates that come out of the consulting class are totally uninspiring. And the consulting class doesn't really care if they win or lose. They still get their money. In fact, they get more money usually when Republicans lose.
Yeah, but win at any cost, win for the win, unified win. And it was a gentleman I was sitting. I really liked him. He was a nice guy. We hit it off, and he was very complimentary. The kind of things that we went over each of the Bill of Rights and 1 to 10 and why and that kind of thing. So it was entertaining. But you would have enjoyed it, and I know you've gone before. But this gentleman, I just texted you in Telegram because I don't want to say it, and I can't get the chat to work here. But I texted you his name, and I bet you know who he is. And I liked him, and we had this conversation. And there's some, especially with the older crowd, it's Republican Party, be damned anything else. It's unified to win, no matter how fascist, communist, collectivist, whatever, they get the guy in, and I don't care.
You know that? You know that guy you texted me?
Yeah.
I know him well.
Yeah, I'm sure you do. What do you think of him? I really liked him. He's a nice human being, but he will do whatever the consulting class tells him to do. Exactly. And that was my point. Win. He's
and
very
I won't.
susceptible.
I won't. I'm as Republican, or probably more Republican than, you'll argue that, but I think I'm even more Republican than him. But I won't do it. I don't care. I don't give a crap about the consulting class. They go and jump in a lake. Like, I want the party run by us. I want America first. I want MAGA all the way, man. I want us Americans running that party, not the grifter class who doesn't care if they talk win, but they don't really care.
Well, this guy represented exactly what you were talking about. And he was all there. He was, of course, older, but, he had it going on. He knew what was what. But the whole goal doesn't matter. Unification of Republicans against
no matter
whoever's
what,
not
right?
Republican.
No principle, nothing. Right, I get it. Yeah.
No, he and I had interesting conversation. I might have had a little impact on him. I think if you said, "Yo, what's up?" I know Ernie. He'd go, "Damn, that guy's damn." So it was. But we had I was respectful. We were sitting next to each other. So and on my other side was Alan Corwin. So you can imagine how that went.
Oh,
but
yeah. Well, he's another one. I like the guy, but he's another one.
Alan and I are friends, but man, he just drives me freaking nuts. For the audience, Alan Corwin writes a lot of gun control books. Anti-gun control. He's pro-gun.
And God bless him.
You cut out what? Are you muted? You touch your mute button.
Can you still hear me?
Yeah, I got you now.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I got you now. You accidentally hit the mute button or something. But
the work Alan Corwin does, God bless him, is stellar. It's nothing short of stellar. But he's another one who, it's from a Republican politics perspective, whatever the consulting class says, he does, or he believes.
This is what you and I have been up against since forever, and since I've known you. And it has been so frustrating for them to espouse certain principles, what has to be and whatever. But if a Republican does it, it's okay, And I'm just, it drives me freaking nuts. And it's why and because of the corruption in the election process, in many ways, not just the vote totals and how you qualify for the ballot, how you're selected, how, and the media and involvement. It's so controlled, and I don't know other states, but I know Arizona well, and I'm telling you, it is bad. And when you look at the other states, some of them are worse, some are just as bad. I don't think any of them are certainly pristine, but it's the result of that is what we got now. And now I'm seeing this great reset a coming, and it's economic. And I know you're a big economic guy too. And I'm gonna out Jay here a little bit. He's like, "Yep, I got my New World Order portfolio." And when I know the bad guys are doing, well, it's time to buy some stock here. I'm gonna get all Pelosi on them, So it's not that a support of it. It's just, what they're going to do. How do I profit and then maintain your principles to be against it? But they can go make you money anyway. But I'm like, are you still in paper? I mean, do you see it coming? You stocking up on silver or have been? I mean, what's your view of what's coming?
Well, you and I have similar views on that. Yeah, just, from a financial perspective, risk management is a rainbow. Right? So it's a rainbow from everything from having a little extra water and food in your house to having, stocks or bonds. It's just a matter of how much you allocate to each color on the rainbow. So, do I wish I had bought more of that silver, when it was 30? Yeah. And now it's almost 100. Yeah. I wish I had bought a lot more, but,
I'll tell you how confident.
You gotta be ready for a lot of things. I mean, I think what you're actually doing, you individually, you and your household, is where it's at, because that's where it's going to need to be. Like, if you can't take care of yourself, then you're going to be living off the tea.
Yeah, but it's going to be universal high income. That low income thing didn't sell too good, so we're going to make it high income. Pinky swear.
Yeah, but that's, anyone
on Mars.
Anyone with one economics class knows that that's nonsense. It just means prices go up. I mean, it's stupid.
Yeah, so what do you think the election cycle going into the 26th November election, what are going to be the issues? I mean, yay, invaded, and running Venezuela. Yay, we built Trump, tower in Gaza. Yay, we're all buds with Putin and it's all good, and they carved and Ukraine doesn't take any more money, and yay, we're giving a bunch to Israel, and yay, what are they cheering? What's going to be
there's
bifurcation?
So there's what's on the surface and there's what's under the surface. So I gave you before what the Republican consulting class is doing, and they've already jettisoned Trump. But man, Trump is something else. He pulls it out of the hat sometimes. I mean, you got to give it to the guy. We got the 250th anniversary of our nation coming up. That's a big deal.
You think the left is going to try and submarine it?
It could depend on what Wall Street does. It could depend on what the bankers do. Are the bankers going to try to crash Wall Street to crash Trump? I mean, there's a lot of factors still. And like you said earlier, the numbers are the numbers now, but who knows in a month or two? I mean, that's a really good point. Trump has already pulled a couple of rabbits out of his hat just in the last few weeks. I mean, the guy's a genius. He really is something that we haven't seen probably since Teddy Roosevelt, to be honest with you.
There was a documentary I was encouraged to watch. Maybe you told me, or it was Frank or something. But it was about his younger days and his relationship with that attorney guy. I can't remember his name. The corrupt attorney in New York guy.
Well, how do you do real estate deals in New York without that?
Right.
One of my favorite lines from Breaking Bad was Saul Goodman, right? He says, "You need a criminal attorney." He's like, "Aren't you a criminal attorney?" He says, "No, you need a criminal attorney."
Right. Right. Well, which is kind of what, I can't remember that guy's name. Do you remember? It was Ron or Ron?
I don't remember.
Whatever. But he was a typical New Yorker, heavy-handed, hands, the Department of Justice attorney an envelope with him, in gay sex or whatever, gets private attorneys or private investigators to go, and we're going to make a deal. You hear me? That kind of thing. Well, one of the things, the rules that he gave Trump, that you could see him live by this, he learned from Cohn or something, I think his name was. But he said, one, you always win. Even when you lose, it was a win. Big win. Best thing ever. Marjorie Taylor Greene resigned. Best thing ever happened in America. Thomas Massey, he's joined the Trader Club along with Marjorie Taylor. Well, you get this happened, that happened. Oh, that was all part of the plan. It's working. For the win. You're going to be sick of winning. Stop the winning. And it's just a tactic that he uses in this Greenland thing.
But it works, Ernie. That's the thing.
Yeah, of course it does.
And then
especially when you're president.
Then he rope-a-dopes you, right? He can take a punch. He'll take a punch. He'll step back, take a swing, and then take another swing and land it. The guy is really incredible. The opponents come up against him in the party, and he's like, you know what? I'm going to give you. He doesn't fight them. He says, you know what? You want to do this? I'm going to give you a chance. Here's the gold at one end of the room and the noose at the other. I'm going to shut the door now, and you'll make your own choice, right? I mean, the guy, look what he did to Rubio, the biggest neocon of all time. He has Rubio performing Trump's agenda. I mean, the guy is incredible. You got to give him credit for it.
No, it's definitely, I want to see Trump the movie in a decade or so. It's going to be interesting. Yeah, Melania has her movie. I've been hearing about that. That might be worth watching. But I have never heard Barron Trump speak or say anything. I mean, I for a long time, I thought he was.
I don't know if you remember, but you can still find it. It's got to really dig now. But Barron Trump was not born autistic. He acquired it, I think, around the age of 2. And they spoke about that. Gosh, it's well over 20 years ago. And Trump knows what it's from. You know what it's from.
Yeah.
So Trump
he talked about it in his first debate.
Barron's struggling. He struggles with that. I mean, he's doing phenomenal under the circumstances, but he struggles with that. And that's why you don't hear much from him. And then also, right, it's smart. It's smart to keep the family quiet and in the background. It's good for the family, and it's smart to do. So, again, it's played well, I think, very well.
The best thing Trump did was to not respond to an entire season or 2 of South Park beating the living crap out of him.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see any of those South Park episodes this last year?
Nah, I didn't. Mm-mm. No.
You didn't? Oh.
But
he was, sleeping in the White House with Satan, the character Satan, and they had a butt baby on the way. And at the end of the season, the fetus hung itself like Epstein in the womb.
I mean,
and he starts making out and having an affair with J.D. Vance. I mean, they did not pull any. It got uncomfortable as hell. I was like, holy shit. I'm like, damn. But to Trump's credit, he knew not to engage. He's like, nope. I'm not giving that any wind, So, but if Trey Parker and Matt Stone, if they didn't try, I mean, damn.
Well, I'll tell you what. I mean, there's a lot of South Park fans. Not that they're against. They came out against South Park, but they just don't like it anymore. I mean, I don't know. That's where I am.
Yeah, no, it's creative and it's timely and it's news, and they do a lot of really good stuff. But this year, I mean, it was entertaining, and I'd watch the next one and the next one. I didn't get all religious about it, but I saw them all, and I was just dumbfounded. You would get to the gallows in the United Kingdom for that. I mean, it was, there's some First Amendment here. What is your experience with X? Do you spend time on that?
No, I just read it, but I have spent time with Grok, and I saw it mentioned UK. Like Keir Starmer arrested the guy who made a Grok AI picture of him in a pink thing, pink lingerie.
Right.
They arrested him. They arrested the guy who made the image, and now they're saying that they're making images of kids that are inappropriate stuff. So that's how they're coming after X now.
Right.
But no, Grok is something else. Like it really is, and I know you and I have talked about that before.
Yeah, I don't want to spend a whole lot of time on it, but now I'm calling her. This is my nickname for Grok. You ready? Lying bitch. That lying bitch. You know? And I drilled down on it, and why did you say, what did you, well, I needed to be useful and helpful and tell the truth, but they didn't say I couldn't lie. What?
What? Grok said that?
Yeah, they didn't say I couldn't lie. And this is why. After 16 hours over a month of me just asking questions, I didn't even relay until like the last few hours anything about me. I'm 64. I live in Arizona. I witnessed this, that kind of thing. But when it was time, I wanted to see how it was programmed before it started programming to me. And I'm sure it had some kind of, algorithm based on my questions. But it started off with things like I go, from 1900, every decade, give me the average age of the man and the woman that got married. How many children they had, what was the birth rate, and what was the economics? Well, you can ask multiple layered questions like that, and they'll go on for 10 minutes, telling you everything. So it goes on, 1900 this. So it started at 21 to 19, the girl and the guy, 21, getting married early on. And then they'd have 2 point whatever children. And then it was 3 or something. And then it got, the economics of the 30s and so it kind of went down. And then, of course, the baby boom and, but it equated it to economics where you had housing was only, 2-3 years of salary. Well, of course, everybody got a house. Mom stayed at home. The guy went and worked, supported the family, and had a bunch of babies. Duh. Well, what's going on now? They can't afford a home, don't have any anticipation of doing it. They're not having children. So you're going, damn, is that like intentional or?
Musk has talked about that. He calls it household formation, right? Household formation is way, way down. And it's not just housing, right? Let me think of my house. My house is like 9 years of my salary now. And I have a decent salary. So for most people, it'd be a lot more than that. And then in addition to that, too, if you think back over time, right, one man went out to work for roughly a household of four and paid about 25% taxes, right? Now two parents go out and work and they pay about 50% taxes each. That's a 400% tax increase on a household. 400% since the 1950s. So think about that as well.
Well, I remember Aaron Russo was, buddied up to one of the Rockefellers, and he did a video, and he and I talked before he died a lot about this, and his thing was the Equal Rights Amendment was all about getting the women into the workforce. We get more taxes, and Uncle Sam's going to raise your children, 100%. And it was intentional. And I don't see it going back. What do you think is going to happen in this next year? By the election time, who wants it to crash? Who wants to save it? Why is Trump going after Jerome Powell?
Well, it's clear. Davos wants the Great Reset. Let's make no mistake. Like, what is all this digital everything about? It is the Great Reset. What do you think the data centers they're building for? Think about it. We got enough in the cloud for now and the next 20 years. The data centers are to run the 15-minute cities, please. Just look at where they are. They're there to run the 15-minute cities. That's what they're for. So anyway, I want to go back really quick to something we were talking about, 15 minutes ago or so. We were talking about how you were saying, what's Trump doing and how are they all these movements around the world. Yeah. Musk just recently, last week, posted something that said, welcome to the singularity, right? We're here. Now, if you know physics at all, as you approach a singularity, space and time warps back around you. And so you can, theoretically, if you're looking one way on a black hole, you can see your own back, right? That's like the most simplistic way of thinking about it. But Musk believes the singularity is here now. And I don't know about that, but we are approaching the Schwarzschild radius. That's for sure.
The what radius?
The edge of the singularities.
The event
range.
horizon or whatever.
Yeah, the event horizon. Correct. We're on the event horizon or close to it.
Yeah, I just saw him. I haven't finished watching it. Him and what is his name? The abundance guy, Peter Diamandis, is that his name? I think.
Mm-hmm.
And he has a show, and it's he was part of the Anasari X Prize, for the Spaceship One going to space and back, and they have different prizes for creating a tricorder for medical analysis in the space cap, that kind of crap. And he wrote a book called Abundance, and it was all about how it's going to be. I mean, the future is going to be awesome. Well, yeah, it can be, and I'm not against technology. I want my Jarvis, but I don't want Alexa. I live out in the desert, and I got Starlink. I'm producing my own power. I'm, sourcing our own food and water, and if I was younger, I'd be educating my own kids. And so I see a lot of potential, and America it has enough money. I mean, just in the hands of the people, which they're trying to take, by the way. And we have a lot of options. The middle class is, but
Ernie,
anywhere else.
This is where you and I are in complete agreement. Is it centralized or is it decentralized, right? Decentralized is good for the people. Yep. Centralized is good for the ruling class.
Well, guess what they're going to try and do?
That's right.
Well, we have Klaus Schwab going away. So did he go away? I mean, is Davos over now? Are we done?
No, Trump's going to go talk at Davos at the Davos meeting coming up. But Zero Hedge had a really good article about it today. What he intends to say, and he's going to say, global your plan to take over is over. That's what Zero Hedge was talking about today. So I'd recommend go reading. That's a good one. What Trump's going to say at Davos. Last time he said, we're done with your doom and gloom scenarios, using it as justification. This is 4 years ago, or 8 years ago now. As justification to take over everything. He said that's over. Now I think Zero Hedge is saying, or whoever wrote that article on Zero Hedge, he's going to say everything you have in mind is over. Why do you think I like the guy? But that's what makes me so upset. Going back to the Republican thing, that's what makes me so upset about this stupid consulting class. Like, honestly, talk about 30 pieces of silver. They're going to sell out the whole movement. They're going to jettison him for a contract. Oh my gosh. I don't even want to say it.
Well, here's the article. Trump to speak at globalist WEF Forum, World Economic Forum. President Trump
you got the article? Scroll to the bottom. That last paragraph is the punchline. It's awesome.
All right, let me do the first paragraph, then I'll go to the end. President Trump is set to crash the World Economic Forum in Davos, bringing his America First agenda straight into the heart of the globalist elites' annual gathering. As the multilateralism devotees scramble to maintain their facade of openness, Trump's presence signals a direct challenge to their open borders and free trade obsessions that have long undermined U.S. sovereignty. When he spoke at the UN, I didn't remember this. There was 2 speeches that he gave at the UN in his first term, and I didn't remember there was 2. And I watched one, and I went back to watch it, and it was another one. And I'm like, man, those kicked ass, because he was going, if you're not your country first, then what the F are you doing here? I mean, it's of course you should be, Yemen first, or Israel first, or Russia first, or China first, or whatever. You go do you. I'm not going to bother you, but we're definitely America first, so get over it. All right, so let's go to the end of this. Come on, down. Continue reading. All right, so let's get to the bottom, skip to the end. Okay, Trump's presence in Davos isn't about playing nice. It's a reminder that the era of subsidizing globalist schemes at America's expense is over. By showing up with his powerhouse team, He's forcing the elite to confront the reality of a U.S. that puts its own people first, free from the entanglements that have drained resources for too long. Well, he just pulled out of a bunch of UN, like 60-something different agreements, treat whatever. What was that about?
I'm sorry, Ernie, what was the question?
He pulled out of all of those UN organizations.
What was that about? That's his anti-globalist bent. That's good. I mean,
Yeah,
he's
no,
delivering on the things
I'm
he's
hip.
saying. Yeah.
Well, I mean,
Yeah,
what,
like
to
I
what
said,
end? And did he have any one in particular? A whole globalist thing through the UN? It was,
No,
and then they're talking about moving the
that's what I
United
was
Nations
saying.
into Canada.
That's
Good.
I know. That's what I was saying earlier about Trump and that particular age of people from New York City, the people who were 5 to 10 years old from 1945 to 1950. Like, he means it. When he says he's America first, he means it. You know, this, and that, I think that last paragraph in that article about what he's going to say at Davos is another example of that. He is anti-globalist. He is for America first. Like, I get it that whatever libertarians, you know, they're not like, you know, the kind of patriots that we think of, you know, Republicans think they are. But
yeah, we're not nationalists.
Okay, nationalists. Let's use that word then, if that's clear for the audience, right? You know, they might not see themselves as national, but he is one. He is a nationalist. There's no doubt, and he is for America first. As am I.
Well, then do it. You know, I mean, I you know,
well, he
they
is.
always been yakking about it.
He is doing it.
Yeah, in a lot of ways. You know, this Iran thing. You guys go get the move. We're coming to help. Are we coming to help? Are we going? Are we invading? Are we going to be bombing?
Well, he just said. I think today. He said, you know, they stopped killing protesters, and so he's got to play to the various factions, you know, that bring the pressure, bring the money, bring the whatever in the media, and that's part of the rope. That's part of the rope-a-dope. You know, he throws a punch, he takes a punch, he jogs around the next punch, then he waits for his chance, and then he lands the next punch. I mean, that's part of his rope-a-dope. He is the political Muhammad Ali.
Pugilist. You know, what's about Tulsi Gabbard? You know, her being excluded from the We're Invading Venezuela party as Director of National Intelligence. I thought that was interesting. Of course, she's anti-war, and let's not, you know, whatever.
Well, was she excluded? Because who did it, you know, besides it impacting Venezuela, it significantly impacted all the deep state rat lines, did it not? It sure did. And what organizations is she over? All those organizations who want those rat lines. So she didn't come out against it, and we don't know really if she was excluded from it. I'm not so sure she was, but she's got to play her part. She's got to play her role, you know?
What about Bondi? Is there resistance? Is that real? You know,
there's
Trump.
There's chatter.
You're not prosecuting enough, or is that all game?
There's chatter that Trump is dissatisfied with Bondi, and that he says that to his aides.
Well, he doesn't have a lot of luck with any other AG, so you know that. Compared to them, I mean, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
So, what do you think is on the agenda for between now and the midterms? Is there going to be bigger news than what we're already doing? Because I'm like, you show me a mushroom cloud, you know, nuclear war, comply no more. I'm done. Try and get some taxes out of me. I mean, you know, I just nope, fail, nope for the fail, nope.
Well, you know, I don't know, Ernie. I mean, I know as much as you do, but right. Where Trump has to swim upstream, right? He's got to improve his numbers if he wants to make out and secure his congressional majority. So he's got to help those candidates improve their numbers so he can secure his majority and he can finish his agenda. Otherwise, he knows he's smart enough. He knows he's going to be bogged down for 2 years in impeachments. You know, so I mean, that's what's going on is can he improve the situation such that he'll secure his congressional majority, or is he going to be bogged down in 2 years of impeachment? So that's what it boils down to, pretty much. And
Yeah,
so, so the steps he's taking are the things he has power to take. Not just is it the right thing, but does it help his numbers?
I
don't know
don't
what
need
to
a
say.
bunch of Israeli sycophants in Congress. That's a minimum job requirement, is how freaking scumbaggy you can be. And then going around calling Marjorie Taylor Greene a traitor and primarying Thomas Massey. With Netanyahu, at his heel doing, or him at Netanyahu's heel, whichever. But the point is them going after someone like Massey, I thought, was the biggest mistake that he did, and then he had to trumpet with Marjorie Taylor Greene. This was just stupid, in my opinion. How was it not stupid?
I mean, it on the surface, right? I mean, we don't really know what's happening behind the scenes, but on the surface, it didn't look like a good move. And it doesn't mean that the man never makes mistakes. But one thing he's good at is building a team that rows in the same direction. And so when people aren't rowing in the same direction, he's gonna throw a barb in their way. And it's just how he operates. I mean, it's not just when he was president, it's when he was a businessman. I mean, that's just how he operates. Are you gonna get on board the train, or are you gonna, go in another direction? And if you go in another direction, I'm done with you. What's that?
Well, on the campaign trail, you're too short, you got small hands, your hair is too curly. I mean, it was always something stupid. Horse face, I mean, whatever, So that's just Trump. And that's one thing people were looking for, a little bit of machismo in their president anyway. They were like, man,
well, we had a bunch of milquetoast people since Reagan. It's all been milquetoast. So people like someone with some fervor. Anyway, I got to wrap it up in a minute. Anything you want to wrap up with?
No, I think we got a good beat on it. We got Trump Report in the morning, and Frank's going to be all pissed off that you weren't able to come on the Trump Report. Damn it, Now send him this homework assignment so he can have to listen to it. But the I glean from the news, publishing Freedom's Phoenix and doing the show and everything, and I'm focused on something else. I'm focused on general public opinion. Without that, even if you get elected and you go in and whatever, if you don't have that, it doesn't stick. And you have to have kind of this revolutionary fervor and a hope for the future and a confidence to say what you want to say. And I see, like, Scott Adams,
and
the Dilbert guy.
That's exactly what the consultant class kills.
Right.
They kill that.
Well, the Dilbert cartoonist, Sam Adams, or Scott Adams, he was on his deathbed. He accepted Jesus as his Lord and Savior, just out of prudence, and changed a great deal over the time. There are a lot of powerful people, and even celebrities that, I don't care what they say anyway, but it's starting to shift more towards for them doubling down with the left is just, who are these people? And they're funded by USAID. Really took a chunk out of them, but they're still getting money from somewhere. What do you think?
They're getting it from the leftist billionaires. They're getting it from Davos. So that what he did with USAID was absolutely blockbuster. Like, stopping that money from USAID and what Doge is shutting down, it is an absolute blockbuster win that even libertarians have to love. Please. They are stopping, what did they say, $2.8 trillion in NGO hands? It's crazy. And we wonder why the things happen.
Right.
I mean, that's why. It's just one big, huge color revolution that they're doing. Come on.
I got a lot of, I just can't get past still voting. It's just a lie. I hope you run again.
I hope you run again and do those signs. Those are fantastic. It woke a lot of people up, right? It made them say it, like you said, and good.
I have thought about it, like, even I was approached by, some people that they'd fund me to get my petitions to get on to run for various different things. And and to do. And I'm like, no, I'm it. You know, people are going to get woke up if they don't get it now. They're not going to.
Well,
you know,
that's the thing. So if we're at the singularity, it feels end game-ish to me right now. I don't know what to say.
No,
yeah,
that's
I
the
mean,
word.
Musk. Musk is saying it, and it feels like it to me. I don't know, Ernie. You know, you gotta either come through the singularity, live with the singularity. I don't know. It's a tough one. But anyway, I gotta wrap it up. Thanks for having me on. It's always a pleasure.
Jay, thanks for sharing with us. It gives us a lot to look forward to, analyzing in the state convention, and I'm sure it'll play out just like you think, and because it's always follow the money. And Turning Point USA is a big impact here in Arizona and the nation, and to see it go the way it has after I was really respectful of Charlie Kirk, and when he got assassinated, I found out how much my children were impacted by him, how much they watched his videos, how much they shared what he had. That surprised me, and I'm really sad. Hopefully,
well, just like Ron Paul, just like Trump, right? There's the man who's phenomenal, and there's the machine. It's not always one and the same.
Yeah, I just feel I don't know how else to say it. Occupy the land. Start taking care of yourself. Be responsible for your own life. Quit delegating authority to someone else to fix it for you, because they're not. There's around the edges stuff, but Trump is accomplishing way more than anybody else by really going after it. So I don't dislike him. I just don't care. I'm glad this stuff's happening. I just wish it would happen more. If you're going to be principled about this, there is no limit. Go get some. Well, the USAID thing was definitely a win, but his Epstein thing was stupid. Massey's stupid. Marjorie Taylor Greene, stupid. There's a bunch of stupid in there, but I'd like to see the movie and understand it. Jay, thanks for coming on, man.
Thanks for having me.
Give us a lot to think about, and we'll talk about it tomorrow. Peace, brother.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.